Welcome. My name is Ellie, and I'm here with Tomasz Opasiński.
Hi.
And we are so excited for you to join us today. We're going to have a really fun stream. Tomasz is a creative technologist, and you guys, he's been showing me what he's going to work on, and I know you guys are going to love it. And I'm really excited to get into it. So do you want to share more about what you're going to work on today?
Oh, of course. So for next 3 hours, we're going to talk. No, I'm joking. For next hour or so, we would like to tell the story. We would like to show you a side of Gen AI, of our tools, helping you to tell the story and actually help you with your work, help you with your professional tasks that you may be tasked with, or do a commercial work that you soon will be available to do with the Firefly, with the 1.0 release, right? So I will guide you through a poster. I would not require you to do anything. Don't worry. You don't have to follow my keystrokes and anything. If you are, good luck with this. So we're trying to show you different side of Firefly. Side that is your side helper, little junior designer that helps you achieve what you have in your mind, actually. That's the biggest tool you have. And just use a tool like Photoshop to assemble all this. So sit comfortably and enjoy the ride.
Yes, it's going to be so great. Please say hello in the chat. Let us know where you guys are watching from. We have some people jumping in already. We have Henrik from Germany, Christopher from Sweden, Tunisia. We have people from all over, so thank you so much. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Sam. So please say hello. Please feel free to ask questions as we go along, and we will definitely make sure to answer those. And yeah, let's get started.
Let's get started.
Let's
we just
go.
have 60 minutes. So
yeah,
if we can switch. Oh, here is our
Magic.
screen. If you're slightly overwhelmed with this design, that's totally fine. It was not created with the one prompt for Firefly, I promise you. Moreover, it was created.
Can you imagine? I mean, that would
Can you
be
imagine this
amazing.
tool? I have to take notes right now. Can you imagine this tool? But what I found in the commercial approach to Firefly, that it's impossible to create everything within one or two prompts, right? However, they're complicated. There's always something that is missing. And since I'm at Adobe working with engineers all day long, sometimes night too, I can experiment, right? So I've experimented with this, and I came to the conclusion that, Firefly by itself is fantastic. I can create images, zebras, and all sorts of stuff. But there was something missing. There was a story that I'm trying to convey with those, right? I can create zebra, but what is zebra telling you? Not much, that it's only there, right? What if you were to connect those images with few others and tell the story to others? Like use it for, I don't know, book illustration or something like that, right? And poster is just the example that I'm accustomed to. I used to design posters for about 20 years. So that's the easiest tool for me to design. For whoever it is, maybe book cover, it may be children's book illustration, or it may be your social post that you're trying to convey certain stories, right? Like most likely you're using this.
Yeah.
I'm not using much there. I'm an old person.
No.
And so posters are natural language to me, and I will guide you through how we've created that poster and why there are so many elements. And at the end, I'll show you something extra, right? So we'll keep talking, write questions there, and I'll play a quick movie. It's literally layer by layer with this poster, how it was created to introduce you to the process of thinking about that, right? So I'll just place this.
Awesome.
Spacebar, this is playing, and I'll walk you through. So don't feel discouraged. There are so many layers. For some, 20 layers is maximum. We used to work on files that have hundreds, if not thousands of layers. I think my personal record was 1,530 layers in one file.
That gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
Yes.
Do you name your layers?
With
that many, I feel like,
of course,
how,
yes, I
how
name
can
my
you
layers.
name them all? Like,
of course.
That's crazy.
I used to run a script to name my layers too, but to build that it's a separate, almost like a language of building those assets. If you were to look at the structure of the file, and if you're working in a commercial world, you have to be aware of that because you're sharing files, right? These are not files just for Tomasz, but for between Ellie and other folks, we have to share this. So that's the magic of building files in a certain way. What you're seeing here on the screen right now, it's step by step. what kind of images I've been using, uncropped and then cropped to a frame. So you see what I've created within Firefly and what kind of crops I've been using. Again, I'm not using the whole image. I'm using certain crops
portions of it.
Yeah, just to evoke certain emotions or intrigue you. And this whole poster is about mystery, right?
Yes.
So I'm keeping the mystery high there.
Yes, with little pieces.
Little pieces didn't require from me any painting, any retouching. Actually, that's the beautiful part of it. And one of the things I would love to mention, we were talking about this before, is how easy it is right now.
Yeah.
How comparing to times where I grew up and used tools, how easy it is right now to convey your story. So please give it a shot and use it. I've dreamt about this for years, about something like this.
Yeah.
And now it's here, and you have no idea how easy it will become for me to communicate with my clients, for example, right? Where I can pre-visualize this for them. Instead of talking words, we can talk images right away from the beginning.
Yeah, it's
And
so
this-
helpful.
Yeah. And like in your career, you most likely you will use it here right now for storytelling.
Yeah, especially for mock-ups and like kind of what's the direction that we're trying to go, getting on the same page. It's super helpful for that. We have a question from Sohail, who's from Pakistan. Do you see any integration of Firefly with Adobe After Effects?
I bet there is something in the works. I'm not familiar. I'm sorry, I can't answer this right away. I'm working on a core projects, and later on, whatever happens with those technologies, APIs, I have honestly no idea where they go.
It would make sense that there would be some integration at some point.
I bet there's something in the works. Most likely all the tools within Adobe environment would love to use that at a certain degree. So sorry, I can't help you more. My team is small and mighty, and we work like in the shadows and really
shadows.
deep in the shadows.
In the mystery.
Yes,
like
we're in
this
the
poster.
lab there. So showing that. Going back to story, I'm sorry I couldn't answer straight up your question. I will find this.
That's
Maybe I
okay.
will post it in the comments if I ask my friends if there's anything going on.
Yeah,
Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Sweet. So let's focus on storytelling. So what we do naturally is we connect images with the stories. If I was presented one image, I sort of build the stories like, oh, here's a happy dude with his flip-flops, flying, hand gliding. This is fantastic, but doesn't tell me where he's coming from or what is about to happen, right? And this is what the magic of posters is. I'm not sure if you ever had a chance to deconstruct them, but always you're presented with the actor, with the with the main character or secondary characters, right? A protagonist and antagonist, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And you sort of get their dynamics, but then you often are presented with so-called sense of place or action, right? You see somewhere at the bottom of the poster or behind them, you see car chase, explosions, you see helicopters flying, so you get a little bit of the story, right?
Yeah.
Oh, here they are, back to back, meaning that they're not together, like they're going against each other. So you're
The body language.
Yes, body language, and you're getting this within a microseconds. Like literally, you see this and it's like, yeah, they're not together, they're against each other, right?
Yeah.
Then you get the sense of place, speaking of storytelling, where or when it takes place, right? So it sort of fills the unknown that you have, the questions that you have, it fills it with extra pixels that tell you the story.
Right.
It happens in ancient Rome or it happens in the future, and you sort of fill those gaps. Like the big question is like, what the heck is this about when you're driving by, right?
Yeah.
And you get those elements of this poster, and they fill the unknown. Oh, it happens in the future. It happens on a spaceship. And there is a monster behind. And you're like, oh my God, I know exactly. I'm driving home, instead of thinking about my 401k, I'm gonna go see this movie, right?
Yes.
Stream it or whatever. And this is the power of storytelling. And what I'm about to show you is a hint of that, and how can you master this in the simplest possible way. So observe, here's the dude flying, right? I'm flying, this is great. Oh no! Guess what happened? Oh my God! For those who can't see, he's in the hospital. Oh my God! So you automatically build the story. Guess what happened at the end of this flight, or somewhere in the middle, right? He's like, do, 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 do. Oh shoot! And I didn't tell you anything. I didn't show you in any frame in
there's
between.
no words there
Yes,
to
there is no
explain
words,
anything.
and it's not even the same dude. This is the funny part. That sits on the bed. This is Adobe stock, right? Of course.
Right.
And you build the story together. So how can you use it in your storytelling devices as poster, as a book cover, or your presentation to a client? How can you use this tool to narrate this without words? So I don't need any words for that. So moreover, then you have, where is this? Sorry. Then you have bunch of doctors, right? Oh, there is Jerry flying, and there is bunch of doctors helping Jerry, right? You're like, oh my God, that's awesome that they helped him. So that means that he's going to be okay, more or less, right? Unless you sort of switch the story and you move Jerry to the front, and then you introduce doctors. And then what kind of story do you get now? Look, so so Jerry was completely ill here. Then there was a bunch of doctors, and then he's flying. You get completely different story out of this. What did they do to him? Like, how did they help him, right? Who's Jerry, right? So these are your questions. You're coming back home. It's like, I have to figure out who the Jerry is, right? And then check this out. If you were to just swap the visual for the doctors into more scientific, futuristic stuff, suddenly you sort of get like superhero vibe off of this. Like, here's Jerry laying after
they did
accident.
some kind of experiment or something.
Injected him with something, right? Here's some shadowy doctor in the background, some diagrams and 3D stuff, and here's Jerry flying, right? So use this wisely, and you can tell any story to whoever you like to tell it to. And within our poster, we're going to hint on that in a moment. I hope that was clear. If you guys have any questions, please ask us. I'm more than happy to answer. This is unrehearsed. So that's
awesome.
that. Let me prepare the assets for you.
Let's go. If someone wanted to build or like grow their storytelling muscles and grow that skill, do you have any advice for anyone who wants to get better at storytelling? Yes.
Experiment on images like I just did, but experiment with somebody. How would they interpret that? Because you are not creating this essentially for yourself. You're creating this for you, and for others here, right? And how they will receive that. And from this, you get a signal how people are receiving this.
Because it might be clear to you, but it might not be clear to someone else.
Exactly.
So understanding what makes it clear to someone else, how can they understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
And for different groups of people, for example, I'm 48, and if I was to design for kids, I most likely would not be the right person to design it. I have sort of feeling how I can tell the story to a kid, but I may be completely wrong, right? Since I love monsters and gore, that's probably not the perfect parent to tell the stories to kids.
Totally.
So test it on younger if you're addressing this to younger. Test it to whatever group you're selecting this to, test it on them. What do you get from this image? What kind of feeling do you get? Is it emotionally draining? Are you happy when you see it? Are you sad? Did it make you think? So that's the most important part, is to make somebody think and ask questions. It's not to answer. So this is most commonly mistaken part of the storytelling, is that I'm telling the story to tell you everything. No.
Yeah.
Actually,
you want mystery.
Yeah, exactly.
Intrigue.
Intrigue, and I want to ask you questions so you will follow. You will purchase this.
Yeah.
You will go and see the movie in a theater, right? If I was to tell you everything, you're like, what's the point of me seeing this movie, right? I've seen it. I know he's going to kill this dude, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know exactly that's his wife, right?
Yeah.
So that's not the point. The point is to intrigue and leave some questions unanswered. I know that it's not super clear answer, and I wish I could answer that clearer, but that's exactly the point of poster
that's good advice,
of any story. That you leave something untold so others can find out when they go, when they read, when they follow through, right? The presentation. You don't tell the whole story. You want people to go through your presentation with you. And at the last page, you want to say, like, hey, hire me for more, right?
Yes.
Instead of, like, saying at the first page, hey, hire me, and they'll be like, okay, so what's the point of watching this?
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
That's great advice.
So, oh my God, any questions in there?
No, we just have new people jumping in.
Awesome.
Sam says, Jerry is flying on his own after the experiments. The hang glider is only to keep from arousing suspicion. See, yeah, you can go so many ways with this.
Yes. Fantastic. Awesome.
Katerina, Gareth, thank you for being here. Barbara, feel free to ask questions as we go along. And Yeah, let's hop over to Firefly.
Awesome, fantastic. So in the Firefly, this is how I start, right? Actually, sorry, that's not how I start. I start with this. I start
Ideas.
and not shaving, by the way, but I'm starting with creating the
Yeah.
idea. What is this poster about? What am I trying to convey? What am I trying to tell? So if I have a client, I'm trying to decipher their creative brief, most likely, right?
Yes.
Tomasz, we want some sort of mystery poster. We have a bunch of slides that are not ready yet, but if you can improvise, that'll be fantastic. It's about killing this and that and mystery there and here and there. So then I start thinking, and I highly encourage you to approach this from this way, and I start sketching. How would I tell the story that it's really complicated, like murdery, Mr. Murdery,
Yes.
Murdery, Mr.
A mystery.
Mystery.
A murder mystery.
Yeah, murdery mystery. So how do you say it? Like, so the easiest way for me was to create some sort of device that
Yeah.
I can put frames within, so you can follow, you can check, and you can connect or disconnect them. Like I was showing you the Jerry flying out there, right?
Yeah.
This is on a larger scale. Imagine 30 of those images and what your brain will be stimulated with. Here's somebody screaming. Here is somebody running. Here's maybe this is blood, but I don't entirely know. Here is somebody running down the stairs, and there's a mysterious woman, right? So if I have those, how do I connect them? How do I guide your
Yeah.
eye, right? So I've decided to create a frame that will be sort of containing everything. That was a first thought for me. So I started with Firefly, and I started typing literally what I wanted to see, right? So let's say, let me just type. Let's go into Firefly. I typed highly detailed photograph of a frame, maybe golden, right? Because
Yeah.
that was in my mind. And if you're familiar with Firefly, you know exactly what I'm going to do. If you're not, please experiment. That would be fantastic if you can experiment on your own. And you already see some images that are generated. But what I'm going to change, actually I use the panel on the right to change sort of aspect ratio, because poster will be very vertical.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely happy about the squarishness of that. So I will go to aspect ratio and I will change this to portrait. So that's closer to my poster. I can stretch it a little bit. Since nobody knows how the frame originally looks like, I have this whole freedom to myself, right? So it's an art within, and I already have amazing frames. Check this out. But
Beautiful.
I will show you like all the assets that I've collected. And I was going through those frames like, this is beautiful, this is beautiful, this is beautiful. But what it doesn't have windows for me to tell the story. It's just one window,
Yeah.
right? So in this regard, it doesn't work. It's beautiful,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work. So let me nudge it a little bit further. So I've changed it to maybe in themes, I maybe do a concept art and hyper realistic as a elements. Photograph of a frame with horizontal lines. And then it hit me that actually Art Deco had a lot of those.
Yes.
So maybe I will put like Art Deco in there. Art Deco. That will
All
be
the geometry.
awesome. Yeah, all the geometry.
Sam earlier said that he loved the Art Deco look of the poster.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, awesome, cool,
Yeah,
cool,
so
thank
he
you.
saw that in there.
And that sort of adds to mystery, this like the Great Gatsby kind of mystery, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe I will follow this. And look at this, we already have bunch of holes and windows that I can put like my characters in. So
Yeah.
as a device, storytelling device, this starts working. And again, I'm not expecting this to tell me the whole story, right? If I
Right.
was to type all the data about the characters, this would be like mishmash that nobody
Yes.
would like to work, right? So I'm already generating some decent stuff, right? So maybe I'll hit refresh. Maybe we'll get something that is decent there, like something that I can actually use. It generates like amazing stuff, like the frames in Art Deco were awesome.
Yeah.
Check this out. This is freaking awesome.
Beautiful.
Look at the image on the left. Like you have
Yes.
all those elements here
windows.
where you can hide a little thing. So let's say I want to save it. So I'm not sure if you're familiar. If you're not with Firefly, you can literally click on the top right and save it here. What it does also, it did two things. It saved the file as a JPEG on my drive, but it also applied credentials. That's what we're big about at Adobe, about fairness of this and tracking if it was generated with AI or not. So you have not seen this much, but if you're starting to use, Firefly will ask you to use it, well, and use it not for commercial uses yet.
Yes.
Right? You will be able to use those commercially soon as we released 1.0.
Yeah.
Now it's just still beta version. Okay, next frame. Last one. It's pretty decent. I'm not going to use it for this product, but I'm just going to save it,
That's
right?
awesome for the future.
But also what I can do, and here's a little trick. It's kind of hidden as of now, but it's not going to be hidden hopefully soon, is that you can show the similar images
I
to
love
that.
this.
Yeah,
Is so helpful.
And it will generate similar images to that if I wanted to explore something like this. It didn't generate the most pretty one, but there is something else. So I can use this image as a source for generation. So if I was to click here on those 3 dots, I can use it as a reference image. Do you see it? Use as a reference image. So it's not only prompt. If I find something and want to hone in on this, I can use this. Oh, where is this?
Explore it further.
Boom. I just use it as a reference. And within this reference point, I can tell Firefly to go closer to reference image if it was to generate this, or closer to the prompt that I wanted to. Originally, it's set up somewhere in the middle, but I can change it. So let's say I want it closer to the prompt. It will generate more different images for me. Boom. It does it. You have it saved there in a corner. And of course, at any point, you can save it, change the options for that. Oh, the second one is pretty decent. Not too much places for play, but let's just finish the frame and let's move on to something else. I'll just save it for fun. And just want to show you, for those who are not super familiar with, there's so many different options that you can generate as far as like styles, and we've been having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, you can just play forever trying different styles on it. It's crazy.
Just let's, for fun, try to regenerate this in graffiti style. We'll see how it works. I'm scared. I don't want to see Art Deco in graffiti style. There was some graffiti there. I thought it would be more affected. Because I have this image here. Hello, Tomasz. I'm getting old.
No. Brett says hello, and Jeffrey Fina says excited for this live stream. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You could have been doing something else, be with your loved ones, but here you are with us.
If you're just joining, Tomasz is creating a murder mystery movie poster.
Yes.
And starting with this frame in Firefly.
So we're not going to make it actually here, but I'm just going to guide you through it. So let's say we found this frame, right? We found the frame, and this is the pivotal part of the storytelling. Here we found the main device to tell the story and build on top of that. So what I can show you right now is my all the assets that I've generated for this poster. So as you can see, there's quite a few of them.
There's a lot.
And there's a lot of frames. So these are the frames that I was going through. Beautiful, but sort of useless in a way. These spaces are too small, etc., etc. Oh, look at this. This is
so
awesome.
Cool.
And each frame has its own character. Even though it's generated with the same model, they're generated like more aggressive, more soft. Some lines are softer, some of them are angrier. Look at this. It's like a bunch of different teeth almost in there. So when you tell the story, think about this as well. What kind of devices you're using? Are they round shape? That means they're soft and natural, or they're aggressive, like crystal-like or like thorn-like elements, and all this matters if you think about it. Look at those, awesome, right? And I got it just with the one click. Then I have to just mask it in Photoshop and be done with this. And this is what I did literally within PSD here. So let me just turn it off. All this here. Don't be scared with the layers. It's nothing to be scared of. It's a lot of fun. Where is this frame? I've lost the frame.
Veronica says, love it. Hello from Panama. And then Carlos Jones says, I remember him when he had hair.
Carlos, I used to work with you. Carlos Jones, hello.
And then Marine says, I always love those few seconds when it's generating, the excitement of not knowing yet what I'll get. It's like unpacking a present. Yes, that feeling is like, ooh, what's it going to be?
Ooh.
It's so fun.
You know what? Honestly, there's so much I can imagine. I think my brain works pretty well, but there's certain part that I welcome, the surprise of that, right?
It's fun,
unpredictiveness of that. Like, for example, all those small elements here that you're seeing within this selected frame.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think I would come up with this. What does it mean? I don't know. But on a larger canvas, it adds up slowly to the storytelling. It adds a little bit amount of gold there that has a meaning to, right? If we have this Art Deco elements, you sort of set when it takes place,
Yeah.
right? You know that it's not in the future. So all those little elements, and you can keep adding to that. There is no limits. If you know how to use Photoshop, and I highly encourage you to learn Photoshop. I know there are simpler tools on the market that just do a background replacement for you or something. That's fine. But
Yeah.
if one day you're thinking about career of a storyteller,
Yeah.
you have to break from those automatic tools. You have to be able to illustrate. You have to be able to improvise. And those tools, by nature, they don't offer this to
Yeah.
you. Photoshop does. And now, after 20-something years of career in Photoshop, I think I can create anything I wanted to. And this is actually very freeing. So initial curve to learn Photoshop, to storytell, it's very steep and it's painful, and we talked
Yeah.
about it, that you may
It's challenging.
challenging,
yeah.
you may cry sometimes or cringe, but it's worth it. It's worth
Yeah.
the effort. So I would
Yeah.
it's not that I work at Adobe and I get paid to mentioning Photoshop. I
Yeah.
highly encourage you to do that. If you're an
Yeah.
artist, if you're creative, it's an amazing tool.
It's a worthwhile investment of your time.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. And funny thing is, not to discourage you, but you will never master it fully.
Yeah?
Because there's always like 5 different ways of doing stuff.
Yes, there's so many different ways, and it's always growing. It's changing.
Oh, yeah,
It's always becoming better.
Plus,
so.
we are changing this. Ha ha ha. So here's the way I was thinking about it
Yeah.
when I was designing this. It's characters is one thing, right? The background is
Mm-hmm.
one thing. It all comes together to a storytelling piece. But then there is typography. And typography
Yeah.
speaks as well. There is aggressive typography. There is very delicate typography. There is something that is handwritten that gives a human touch to it. And there is something electronic, automatic, right, where you can use. And please be mindful of those when you're designing. That's no small thing, how people get a vibe and feel of your piece when you use the wrong type, right? So
Yeah.
for this poster, I was experimenting with a few different typefaces. For some strange reason, I thought about this being some sort of weird, twisted, something is going on
It
there.
feels like a mystery.
It feels like a mystery to
Yeah.
me. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel sporty or like handwritten and stuff,
No,
right?
and it still kind of has the Art Deco-ish feel to it. Yeah.
The sort of verticality
Yep.
of that,
Yep.
simple shapes and forms. That wasn't my first choice, but
Yeah.
I was like experimenting.
cool,
like,
yeah.
Maybe something like this. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe this will be mysterious enough. And turned out later when I was composing this image, it did not vibe well. It sort of stood out to me as a separate element that
Yeah.
was designed separately and then just dumped on it. I'm like, no, it doesn't work. This was sort of interesting
I
too,
like
as
this,
as
yeah.
a hallucination-like twist of some sort of Art Deco-ish
Yeah.
typography, right? It's kind of cool. Again, didn't work for me for that. For you, it may work. And here is a classic bodega serif that could have worked, but I wanted to make it different, right? And here is something that I went through. Like after all those frames, I've started playing. So here is the poster that we're for those who are just joined us. So here is the poster that we're sort of experimenting with, right? And just if you were to look closer at this, there's a bunch of small elements. So when I was mentioning the frame as a containing device to tell the story, you see a lot of small elements
Yeah.
that when you print this poster big as it's meant to be printed.
Yes.
So there is medium. It's not, it's definitely not.
You're not looking
meant-
at it on your iPhone
Yeah,
or on a
it's-
small computer screen.
Yeah, so you have to think what you're designing for,
Yeah.
right? If that's printed at 27 by 40 inches, if not bigger, that it makes sense.
Yes.
If you were to look at this on iTunes right
You're
now,
like, what is
you're like,
it?
well,
Yeah.
it's a really big mystery
But
because
when
I
it's
have
large,
no
you'll
idea.
be able to see those elements.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So
yeah.
I had this in mind. If I was to design for smaller spaces,
Mm-hmm.
most likely it would be very simplified. It would be 3-4 elements, so you can see it from afar on the small spaces, right? So I thought about this, and it was made on purpose. So if you were to see it on the real size, right, you will be able to gaze along few elements. Unfortunately, the screen is too small. Why is this woman screaming, right? What is this woman looking at?
What's
Why?
that maze?
What's
That's
that maze?
cool.
Are there roses? What is it? Is
Yeah.
it blood? I have no clue. Why is this kid eye closed? Is this kid asleep? But the tonality of its skin, I didn't want this kid to look like is gone, right?
Right.
So it's not purple on purpose. It's
Yes.
not pale on purpose. So I've made it saturated so you think subconsciously that it's alive, but it's asleep. Maybe
Yes.
it closed the eye for something, didn't want to see something, didn't want to say something, right? So that's the thinking behind every single image you put out there. And of course, there is money, right? There is always money involved in it, and you get hint of it. Oh my God, there is a knife even, right?
Yeah.
There's certain things you won't be able to do within Firefly because of not safe for work, etc., etc. But knife you can create actually, so that's kind of cool. Who is this guy and what is he looking at? I don't see his eyes.
Yeah.
So maybe within the movie, when I see his eyes, maybe I won't recognize him, right? There is another woman, most likely screaming or saying something. What is this serpent doing here?
Yeah.
Why is this a sculpture of half-naked men there, right? Etc., etc. So I've made this mysteries, like who is this woman and why her face is darkened and what's the purpose of her being there, right? There is a light tower. I'm not sure if you're seeing here, and it's on fire, right? At the bottom there is a fire. So you sort of get the scope of this, that it's not only within the room or house. This movie takes place.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. That's like
Yeah.
we're covering the world, right?
Yeah.
There is a large ship. What is being transported, right? Why is this dude covered in some sort of red goo? Is it blood? I don't know. I see a little bit on his shirt, right? Moreover, there's somebody observing them. Except, this woman, obvious, she's standing here and she's up to no good because of red color here.
Yes.
That you don't know if it's blood. Actually, it's not. I didn't use it as a blood, but it may suggest that it's blood on her hand because of the flames, right? So I'm telling the story and I'm leaving those questions for you. Like, is it blood? I don't know. It looks like the fire, but it's not the fire. So yes, that's what I want. Here is Howling Dog. What is he doing? Like, why is he there, right? Who is this dude with the hat, etc., etc.? Is this dude smoking? That's so bad for his health, right? but since it's a different era, that was cool, right? So
Yeah.
he's smoking there. What is this meaning of this skull? And are these zombies or something like this? And of course, copy, true story, fictional characters, and whodunit, right? So all those elements, I had to go to Firefly and explore, find them, compare the styles, and generate them. So what I did, I went through a bunch of them. So there was a bunch of different versions of this, what I thought. And from those, I was building it, right? Not every image was perfect, of course, right? There were images that were like completely not fitting into what I was imagining. But some images were like, okay, I can fix this in Photoshop.
Yes.
I'm not being paid for this. This is unpaid. And just going through this was fun, first thing. And this was way faster than me illustrating this. And
every single element, illustrating every element.
this will take me a long time. So I can offer this for cheaper for clients. I can generate more. And moreover, actually, my client can now type and send me the exact image that they wanted to have, for example, right?
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, Tomasz, can you make it more, and or whatever language we're using to express ourselves. Now I can get exact prompt actually from a client and type it on my machine and then explore it, right? So I want you to pay attention for a second to all those houses and how they fit or do not fit to our story. And the woman in the front, the main character, that it's there. That's beautiful, but the face was sort of messed up. I'm not sure why the clouds sort of popped in there. And when I saw this, I'm like, okay, here's my hero. Why I said hero? Because low angle of the camera. And everybody who's photographed from the bottom.
She's tall.
She's tall. She's menacing, right? I am small. She is tall. For that, she has a visual power over me, right?
Yeah.
So think about those cinematographic tools that you can use when you're composing your stories. What's the point of closing on the eyes? What's the point of selecting character that is further away and surrounded by nothingness, right? It's a solitude. He's by himself. So think about it. Read a book maybe about cinematography, and that will help you to tell the stories. This is just a tool. Like book will be a guide. Your head will be main transformer. And this will be just a tool to achieve that. Imagine you don't have to go with your camera and shoot this and find those houses. Oh, God. And compose it from a bunch of images from stock.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Could be a days-long project.
Exactly.
Find the house, permits, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's this different character that I found, and you saw it being cropped somewhere in the corner. This didn't work. She's way too creepy. So I'm like, not really using. This was second contestant to that, and so on and so forth. And you see me like exploring, and for sake of time, what time is it? Oh my God, 33. And I won't explore prompts. Maybe I'll copy one prompt or something like this. Let's experiment with this lady. What's the prompt? What Firefly does, and it's amazing, it saves the prompt within your name of the file. So you can always go back
and
hit enter.
Remember what your prompt was.
Exactly. And I would just go to Firefly, remove this, I don't want this.
Brett says she doesn't look like the hero. She looks like she just set the house on fire. But what you mean by that is like she's the main character. Yeah. She's like, even if she's a bad person or she did something bad, she's still like, she's the focus of it by the angle and the how you present her.
And this is part of the story. Maybe I'm deceiving you to focus on her. Maybe there's somebody who's screaming out there that it's actually main character or the person who done it. Maybe she came here and she saw it, but she's not the one who did it, right? So
that is a good point.
That's the thinking. There are characters that are actually bigger than her as far as like the face go. The woman that was screaming in the corner, bottom left, she's way bigger, right? And there may be reason for it, right? So think about it this way. Yes, she is there.
It's part of the mystery.
Yeah, she doesn't have any blood on her jacket. You don't see her with a torch as well. So anyways, so if you render something, if you create this, you close down the app and you come back to it with the revisions from a client, let's say 3 days later, they're like, hey, Tomasz, we're not vibing. I don't get the house. You can copy literally the name of the file, paste it here, and you're generating again, right? It's like no time has passed. You're starting generating with the same style, with the same feel, but you're maybe just looking for different houses. Check this out. I can sit there all day long, which is kind of fun on its own, right?
It is fun. It is very fun.
It's like being in a casino sometimes, like
yeah,
boop, boop,
yeah,
boop,
it is
boop,
just
boop.
like that.
And look at those houses. Sometimes she's bigger, sometimes she's smaller, right? And I can actually introduce they're dark silhouettes, but maybe I want mysterious blah 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 Art Deco 1920s by dark ancient forest.
Yeah.
Ooh, with mushrooms. I'm not responsible for the results, but I just typed ancient forest with mushrooms. So we'll see what will come up.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that was a note from a client that they want to see mushrooms.
Like,
boom.
we gotta have mushrooms in here.
Boom.
There you
That's
go.
awesome. Like the third one, it's awesome. They're secondary
I love those
read.
tall.
Yeah. If you look at this, you don't even know that these are mushrooms. So when we talk storytelling, what it gives you actually ability to change the story based on the directions from your I don't know, friends, clients, or yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can come back to this and change the narrative without too much effort. And if you use those devices like the frames, you can just swap it, and here is a new meaning to this frame, right? Think about it, how I can enrich that, change it, and check it literally quickly. I can present this to my client, literally swap the image, present it with my client, and get the reaction. Now I feel like this house is grand, right? Because it was cropped, it felt a little bit too tight. So think about it this way. Please experiment with this. This is such a nice tool. On purpose, I'm staying away from AI and machine learning. That's like nerds talking jargon stuff, right? I was never good with math, so I'm staying away from this. But what I'm focusing on is prompt, and I'm trying to make it as simple as I possibly can. I have at the beginning of the prompt, when we talk about telling stories, actually through prompts we're telling stories as well.
Yeah.
Because you ask the machine to generate a photograph. So this is the first part of the story. You're feeding this to the machine, right? Design for me a photograph, and then design a house that is from 1920s, and at night with the clouds and I don't know, desaturated. So you're actually telling the story in a nutshell to the machine, and machine is processing with their numbers and stuff, right? And it spits out an image. So you have two exercises of telling the story. One is to the machine, to your apprentice, and one with the images that you're generating.
We have requests from the chat to add a moon behind the house.
Okay.
And see what that does.
Let's see.
Oh, I like these two though.
I'm not sure if machine can understand behind, but it will do its best. Let's pray. If not, there you go.
Oh, it made her into the house, which is kind of cool.
Which is awesome, actually, in an abstract way. If you look at it, if you have mushrooms, I think we can afford some abstract stuff.
Oh, absolutely, right? Giant mushrooms. It looks like her dress.
Yeah, it looks like
it's
her
really
dress.
Cool.
It's a story. Did she became a house? Yeah. Stories are weird. But yes, moon is there. It's not perfectly textures, but if you were to change the prompt from highly detailed illustration maybe to hyper realistic, I'm selecting here on the right, hyper realistic and concept art. Maybe let's see what we can get from there. I don't want to spend too much time on this, especially we have 22 minutes.
It goes by so fast,
Oh God. So think, you wrote down the story, you drew some sketches, and now you're in the phase of exploring the mood of that, right? Somebody who said about the moon, fantastic, this is great focal point within his story, right? If you have tons of elements, most likely the eye will focus on the moon first, as this is the brightest, which is actually by laws of cinematography the closest to you, which is kind of weird. But you will focus most likely on that, and you will start deciphering the poster from there. So great idea. Thank you so much. And look at this, like top left moon. It's decent for this particular reason. You have silhouetted
really
women
great.
there that you can keep tweaking. And actually, I want to show you something.
Yeah,
and we're talking about it with Photoshop. So yeah, keep exploring, adding to the prompt, removing from a prompt, and experimenting with that. I will highly recommend, if you have your story written somewhere on the side, and I highly encourage you to do that, write a prompt maybe that goes along that. So if you were thinking about women in the front of old house and Art Deco, see if that may work actually as a prompt. Just put it there, and for fun, check it out, and then maybe narrow down your search, etc. So in a nutshell, you can think about this tool as research tool when you're going to search.
An exploration
tool.
tool.
Exploration, right? You're exploring and seeing like, oh, maybe this image I will vibe with. Then you save it, and you save the prompt, and you just modify the prompt. Instead of, if you have your style, maybe instead of house, you put the, I don't know, garden in there, and you have all the style, all the presets there, and you just explore garden, etc., etc. And you will build this in the same style, right? And then you can narrow this by fixing your prompt. So you've explored, you found your main theme, right? The coloring, the bluish, orange, kind of sweet, warm-looking thing. So it's inviting, actually, by the way, right? And then you start narrowing it down. Boom. So you went to explore, and you're narrowing down, and to tell your story in the same style, right?
Yeah.
So this is the way of looking at it. Let's refresh last time and move on to Photoshop. That I will show you some other stuff.
C-Box was asking if you can add qualifiers, so like how to make it warmer or change the colors, which there are options in Firefly to do that, or you can take it into Photoshop and do it there.
Yes, of course, you can adjust it in Photoshop later, but also you can add, let's say, golden hour. Hour. You can do it here, but do you see what happened here? Right, the qualifier, it's here at the bottom, golden hour. And there is a reason why it is there, because we thought about this golden hour thing. It didn't change much right now in this instance, because I think it was warm, sort of.
Well, you
lights,
have the moon
lights.
too,
I have
so it's
lights,
like it knows that it's nighttime. Yeah.
But if you were to look at the menu here on the right, you can explore different lighting settings. You can have a backlighting, you can have a dramatic lighting that will sort of change the mood of that, right? Let's say dramatic lighting, I'm not sure if it's night already, so I'm not sure how much it will change. Low lighting, studio lighting, please experiment with those, especially when you do a lot of that, like a product stuff. And if you do studio lighting, you have this sort of nice setting with the warm light, with the not too harsh shadows. Awesome. So that's that. But colors and tones, check this out. So you can render this right away, black and white if you need it, if you don't go to Photoshop, right? Or you can do warm tones or cool tones. It depends what you want to say, right? Warm, to me, was inviting. The reason why I used gold.
Or cozy.
Yeah, cozy, inviting, and yet it's murder mystery, right? So when you see the blood, the color of blood is more like a burgundy, kind of like old wine kind of color. Not blood that is like blah, right?
Yeah.
Did I just say black? Yeah. Okay. So you sort of direct your user or client to feel certain way. You have a lot of power when you're designing. And the last one is composition that actually may be very beneficial for your storytelling. You can tell a computer like to generate blurry background, for example, if you want to focus on the main character and have everything else blurred, right? So for that, you're directing user to or client to look at certain things, right? Then shot from below, shot from above. If you need different angles of the same product or character, or maybe the forest or something like this. So please experiment with this, and mixing and matching it's exhausting and it's so much fun. So, yes,
it is. It's hard to know when to stop sometimes, because like you can just go and go and go and change things, and it's really cool to see what it comes up with.
Yes, it's a lot of work. Since we have like just a few minutes left, please feel free to ask questions. That's, again, it's improv. And say hi to all my friends and families and stuff. I'll go quickly through some of the photographs that, images that I've created for that, just to show you what it was and how it ended, right? So if this is, hello, lady. I always have a tablet on the right side, but that's my fault. Okay, so we have the frame here, right? And as I said at the beginning, frame is my device, and this is what it was originally. This image, Command J. This image was originally generated, but I felt like if you get a hint of it, it's more mysterious. You have more questions, right? Instead of just, hey, here is a lighthouse that is burning. Like I want to intrigue you. So I came up with the sort of vertical space for this to reveal it, but not too much. So I thought about this space. I was like, when I was building it, maybe at the top, maybe I can crop some elements from it, and so I did. I included this in this sort of sliver of this image where you have fire, when you have a house, and you have a full-on the lighthouse, right? But then I was like, that's not too much fire. I want to make it more fire without extending it, without expanding. So I went to Adobe Stock and I brought up, more fire, flames.
Yeah.
And there originally the flame is, and think about Adobe Stock when you're using Creative Cloud. Stock comes free, so please use it. And
it's a great tool.
It's fantastic. So this is literally flame on the black background, but I put it on the screen, so all the black values are removed from that. So now I can place it without masking. I didn't even click twice on this. I can put it here, link it with pressing Alt between layers. Bloop. It only applies to this layer right now.
Awesome.
And you're just mixing. It's like, that's way too much fire. That's a little bit. Let's leave a hint. And then you create the depth with this, right? So the image is not flat. You create the foreground.
Layers,
Yeah, there's layers.
Yeah.
There's foreground, like in the real world. I'm in the front of you. There is a computer. And you mimic this within your images to show the world, like how it is physically made. So I see flames closer to me. I'm endangered, actually, when I'm there. If you really think about it, I'm endangered because flame is close to me. Then there is a space, then there is another flame, and there is a world, right? So I've created this 3D keyhole, actually, to the story.
Yeah.
I know, I think about it way too much, but it's been embedded in me, and
details are important.
Oh,
That's
yes.
what makes this poster unique from another murder mystery poster, is the details that you are thinking about in the story.
And I highly encourage to overthink, and test it with other folks. Here's the dude, right? The bloody dude, the mystery man there. So I've created a guy that was sort of bloody. I know it's kind of gore, disgusting, but I wanted him to drink the wine. But then I was like, okay, maybe nobody will recognize the glasses within this mess, and maybe I'll just focus on the dude. So I put the dude in there, and here's there. Later on, I'll obscure him a little bit, change the saturation of the blood so it won't be disgusting. It'll be a hint. They're like, there's something happening,
right? But not as in your face.
Yeah, in your face, etc., etc. So if you were to look at this closer, what is this? This is this image. Boop. Here's something at the bottom. Here's this mystery woman, and so on and so forth. You see it. I was just building it that way. But here's where it gets fun. So you have all those elements. Let's revert this, right? Boop. I'm reverting this. I have all those elements, and this is where the real life with Photoshop happens and Firefly right now. You go to a client, you present this, and you get revisions, right?
Yes.
And what do? So first, I highly encourage you to build files in Photoshop or any other tool with the layers, so they're non-destructive. So you can always go back, move stuff around, and shape your story. If you got it wrong, if you went into this tunnel vision with your storytelling, and this is too much for somebody to process, folks who will be walking by this, right? If it's too much, you can always scale back. And all those files, like layered files, enable you to do this quickly. So you can choose merge this or work destructively and suffer every time you have, and you've been doing this, and we've been doing this for a long time, and suffer on the revisions, or keep it all movable and just move it around and charge for revisions. How cool is that? I'm going to open separate files. So I can close the Firefly. Was this enough for Firefly, or please experiment with this. There is no way for me to show you everything in Firefly. Like, type some awesome prompts. Where is my stuff? And here are other like explorations of the burning house. right? It's cool on its own. Like, oh, this is awesome. I can build like 5 posters off of this.
Oh, yeah.
And 7 posters just off of that. If I was to put the people in there, right? Oh, this is awesome. Anyways, Jesus, we can talk about it for hours. But here's something extra I prepared for you. So I pretended that I went to see my client, and my client was like, yeah, Tomasz, you were so wrong about a few elements. We thought that you're a great designer, but you're actually not. And you messed up, man. We need different face. This face doesn't mean, of this main character, doesn't mean anything to us. Maybe you like her, but that she's not even close to our main characters. How do you change it later, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I thought that I told this story. Oh my God, I'm such a bad designer. And revisions come, right? So then you hop into new Photoshop, beta as of now, but just give us some time. We'll improve the actual Photoshop, not just the beta. Download beta if you can to experiment with it, right? You have generative fill. This is how we're calling, I'm calling it like such a huge help. This is how I call it.
It is so helpful.
I'm staying away from technical jargon. It's just patching for me or fill.
Yeah,
this is
it's a tool.
It's just a tool.
Yes.
So client had revisions, right? And they came to me and they were like, hey, Tomasz, listen, dude, this is great, but we don't like her face, and she's an angel, and we need like wings on her, but I don't know how you missed this in the script, and what are you doing? And look at all those...
Or they made a change after they gave you the brief.
Like,
blame it on them.
Angel. Yeah, I'll blame it on the writers, right? And they were like, you have so many spaces. What is this about? Why didn't you put like extra clues in this? Like, what is, we're wasting pixels. We're paying you to actually fill those pixels with the mystery, right? Why did you, what's wrong with you? So actually it turns out that they asked me to fix bunch of elements within this image. And what do? Actually, I stay within Photoshop. Maybe I will hop for a second to Firefly and change a few things. But within Photoshop, you have this amazing stuff. Check this out. So for example, if I was told to regenerate the face, right? I can just right now make a selection and type within generative fill woman's face. Click generate. And that will generate me 3 different options of different faces that I can choose from. I don't have to go to Firefly. Firefly comes to me.
Yes, you
which
can do
is
it right
awesome.
there.
And it depends on what kind of selection you're going to do, and so on and so forth. So Firefly generated 3 different faces. It didn't know what kind of faces, if they're screaming, if they're dreaming, closed eyes or open. So it shut, literally like, hey, Tomasz, here are the 3 different faces. I can scroll through here in the panel of properties that I will highly encourage you to turn on. You have 3 different faces. Maybe that face is good. If not, let's regenerate. And it's regenerating until I will find the one. You see, I don't go to Firefly. I can go to Firefly and revisit, generate a bunch of faces.
But if you like the house and you like everything, there's just one thing you have to change. There you go.
Exactly. Here's something less appropriate. That may be good. Who knows? But it depends on your selection. So I highly encourage you to do that as well. And what I'm about to show you is actually about 25 minutes worth of work of adding those elements. It will honestly, and I'm a dude with a lot of practice in this, it will take me hours to do this in a traditional way, finding assets, separating them, merging them, adjusting colors, and so on and so forth. And this does it like, oh my God, I want to cry. This is so cool. Sorry, I got excited. I got excited. So if you were to look at this poster and all those elements that our client ask us to change the story, essentially, right? And after the presentation, hey, can you change the story a little bit? This is what we did. And I'm going to uncover it and cover it again. Look from the bottom up. I'm going to reveal the whole elements. You know where it's happening. So you see at the bottom, I've added some elements. Maybe there, and I will show you, I will zoom in a second. I know it's kind of small. I added some clues. Maybe there are written clues within this film. And I'm using those elements to tell the story. You can read it, you can be inspired. If you see it throughout the movie, you'll be like, I saw this element. It looks like Egyptian thing or like Greek thing, right? And look up. I added elements on the sides. I added elements on the side. I added the tree so it doesn't look empty there.
A lot more detail.
It adds there, a lot more details. Look at her becoming an angel right now. So I added the wings. I've changed her face.
Yes. It has a totally different feel with her looking like that versus how she did before.
Even the previous one was acceptable to me.
It was beautiful,
but for my client,
this is it's a different look.
Yep. And exactly, look at this. So now we have before and after.
Wow.
Before I mean after, sorry, and before. So you see, the storytelling does not end with Firefly, does not end with Photoshop. It ends with the clients and revisions and the goal that you're trying to get from this. So don't feel like it's ever, actually, to be honest, none of my posters were ever finished, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's always something to add, always something to guide people with, always a little bit of information that you can give them to get a better idea and still have them intrigued. So let me zoom in. I know we have just a few minutes.
2 minutes.
Oh God!
I know, it goes by so fast.
Any questions
so
you may have? Let me just go down with this. So if you had all those elements here, let's say, you see from the bottom we're going. Boop, 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 boop,
Sam says, good tips. Yeah.
Oh,
Christopher says this would be so easy to create your own comic book. That would be a fun project.
Imagine this. And you can keep adding, changing this based on the story, right?
Amazing.
This comic book, look at those elements, the tiny little blue elements here that I'm introducing on the crossings of that. So these are all the elements that sort of give you the clues here if you were to do that. Here's the tree. Where's this thing? Okay, here's this thing. Trees, additional elements. Her wings, I even added the sort of blood on her wings, etc., etc. All these plants here, extra elements on top of that, extra Egyptian elements in there, just in case, right? And here's last thing, I promise, is that I've experimented. So here are the adjustments. I experimented with even different kinds of wings to tell different story about who she is, right?
Yeah.
I've experimented with the black wings. That was so awesome.
I love that.
And then the clients came back and they're like, yeah, Tomasz, she's a true angel. She needs white wings. And actually...
And you did that with Generative fill?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Generative wing fill.
That's so cool.
And that was different wing, right? So I can keep exploring this until we hit the spot, and that will be approved for commercial use, right?
There you go. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. This was so fun. Thank you all for watching, and make sure to stick around. We have another Firefly stream coming up right after this, and so we will see you there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave it on YouTube, leave it on Behance. I'll do my best to respond. Maybe we can publish this project so you can dissect it on your own.
That would be awesome. All right, we'll see you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you. Bye.